All right. Welcome, Spoiler Kings. This week we are watching a movie that came out last week, The Northman, directed by who was his name? Robert Eggers. He also directed The Witch. Have you ever seen that, which was awesome, and The Lighthouse? And if you've ever seen that one's also awesome. So he's got a good track record of making really good movies. So this one came out last week. A lot of hype for it. A lot of big actors, Alexander Skarsgård, Anna Taylor Joy, Bjork is in it, Willem Dafoe, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke. Again, Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke,
he's in everything now.
He's on
So,
fire.
yeah,
the new Nicolas Cage.
Seriously. So those are your main people right there. But yeah, man, this is getting into the trailer. You have a synopsis, or you want me to talk about it?
I got one up. It's a short one, but I can kind of add on to it.
All right.
So here we have our main protagonist. He looks like a very shredded Jesus. It's about Prince Amaleth is on the verge of becoming a man. Starts off with little young Prince. His father, who is brutally murdered by his uncle, who kidnaps the boy's mother. All of that happens in the very first 30 minutes of the movie. 2 decades later, Amleth is now a Viking who's on a mission to save his mother, kill his uncle, and avenge his father. He pretty much promised his father, and I don't know why his father knew, but his father knew that he would have to get avenged. He knew he was going to get killed. And so that's what the movie's about, in a nutshell. You get a bunch of really gruesome, really gory type fight scenes. Everything is very old school Viking. So you have swords and you have shields, as you see in the trailer.
Yeah.
And shredded Jesus, bro, just goes apeshit. It's so it mentions a little bit about him avenging his father because his uncle kills him. Pretty much reminds me of a dark version of the Lion King.
Lion King, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the original,
Othello.
Othello.
Yeah.
Othello.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, every culture has a story similar to that, to something like Othello. So, but yeah, I was getting big Othello vibes from this.
But Ethan Hawke said when he first got back, he was like, "I should have died on the battlefield. I feel like I should die on the battlefield because being out here is where I don't trust everybody. But I don't want to die old man. I don't want to die of someone trying to murder me. I want to die in battle."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He came back from a war or a battle, and I guess he's injured, and he tells Nicole Kidman, he doesn't have much time, and he needs to pass on his crown kind of to his son. And Nicole was like, she's like, "Oh, come, let's have sex," and he's like, "Nah, because that might kill me, and I don't want to die like that."
Exactly what he said.
That's exactly what it was. He goes, "I don't want to die like that. I want to die on the field." And I was like, "Damn, okay." But yeah, also Robert was it Egger? I keep forgetting his name. Robert Eggers. He went to all these Norway and stuff like that, and studied all the stories and everything about Viking history, and everyone said that this movie is so accurate to the actual Vikings, not like the Vikings that you would think of when you watch cartoons and stuff. This is the most historically accurate kind of telling of a Viking story. So the way they dress, the way they talked, and their mannerisms. There's that one part where there's a Valkyrie flying to Valhalla, and she has these braces kind of things on, and it looks weird, and I guess that's something that they do in Norway. It's they put these things on their teeth or something like that. So, even like little details like that, fighting naked, you know,
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Using mental warfare.
Yeah. So.
I was just looking. I thought he had a grill in. I was like, grill?
Yeah, I watched an interview. Right. I watched an interview, and he was saying like, yeah, there's like these things that they put on their teeth back then, like in the Viking culture, and I forgot what he said it did for them, but yeah, it was like, I'm like, huh. So like little things like that.
Also have
always
contacts.
Right. Well, this is supposed to be a Valkyrie, so she's supposed to be like Tessa Thompson, like they're the ones that bring people to Valhalla, so she's like a deity almost. Mm-hmm. So they're like gods, I guess, like angels,
mystical.
Yeah, more like angels. Yeah,
yeah. But cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just a story of revenge. So let's get into some of the good stuff. So what were some of the good? So Brian, I know you say you didn't see it, so you're just kind of like hanging out and
listen. I saw like a couple minutes of it. I was like, oh, okay, I saw this. All right. And then I saw, see Scar push him off the ledge and chop off his head. That's what I saw.
Yeah. I guess that's exactly how it is. So what about you, Will? What are some of the things that you liked about this one?
So for the Northman, I really enjoyed the imagery. Imagery was number one for me as far as watching a movie. For the most part, we get some really like deep, dark scenes. So Brian mentioned the beheading scene. They really show off that beheading. Like they didn't shy away. They didn't do the whole camera pans away and you see a head roll, although they did show that too. They really showed like a head knocked off. They showed the plot was actually really, really well done, in my opinion. Showing off like almost like, I wouldn't call it a hero's journey, but it's more of like a vengeance hero's journey. And so you see the main protagonist, Amleth, he gets a sneaky way of getting vengeance. So without giving too much away, he does kind of infiltrate the uncle's kind of like squad, if you will.
Like his little
kingdom
farm village.
Yeah. And goes unnoticed. No one knows that Amleth even lived, right? That's the one baby spoiler, if you will. So he kind of infiltrates, he gets in, he kind of gains trust. And by doing all that, he had the opportunity of surprise. And so he really like went off. Like no one suspected him. And that for the most part was just like the biggest pop of the movie. That's one thing that I took away from that really made me enjoy it. The fight scenes were just amazing, right? So we get a lot of like off the ground, 300, Sparta type scenes and even like, what was it? Like, the uncle's son, right? He has like, I think 2 sons or whatnot. Little boy going ham with like a freaking knife.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene. And we get some like amazing kills that you think are not going to happen, and then they happen. So yeah, with all of that imagery, with all of the fighting, and then the storyline being as gruesome and dark, and all the like betrayal, even, right? Nicole Kidman, we'll talk about that in a hot second, but she's just like, bruh, I didn't even see that coming. She's conniving and just such a dark and twisted biznatch. Like she's just so bad. But we see actually one last thing. Favorite thing that I really took away from this is I was a bit confused for like my first few times when I was seeing a thing that they were doing in the movie where I guess like the characters would be taken to like this like supernatural type state. They get like taken out of the movie and they would like undergo this like out of world experience. It's hard to explain.
Like going to Valhalla,
like a vision, almost
like a vision. Yeah. So it's kind of like a vision where they travel into this outer, world type vision, and they would experience these things. And it was so abstract and so like supernatural, and then they would resume back to the movie, and they would do that so quickly, that transition, that you were just like, what did I just see? Like, am I on drugs? But I enjoyed that. At first, like, it took me out of the movie because I'm like, what the hell did I just see? Did I just see Willem Dafoe's face, like, talking crazy trash? And I did see Willem Dafoe talking crazy trash, but it was in a good way. So that I did enjoy a lot. It did a lot for me experience wise. It kept me on the edge of my seat for sure. But what about you, Tank? What did you enjoy most about the movie?
Man, like Viking culture is probably like my second favorite to samurai kind of like culture. And I mean they're very different. Where like like and completely different. That's what I like about it. Is like it takes so much discipline to be a samurai, where a Viking is just like complete
animalistic.
Yeah, the opposite. Where you like there's strategy, but it's so like you said, like animals. Like he does like this whole wolf kind of stuff. Like here, where he kind of even like talks to like these dog wolves in part of the movie. And he does it so well. So that's Alexander Skarsgård. And man, he was jacked. Holy crap, that man had like a 24 pack. I mean, it was insane. Like, how ripped that dude was. It was like he got another torso just for more abs. It was insane how jacked he was. And because I mean, a lot of times he didn't have a shirt on when he was doing a lot of the major fighting. But yeah, it was just like the story was well done. The violence though, man, was just so good. It wasn't like Tarantino level where it's like somebody gets a paper cut and it's like gallons of blood. This was more kind of, I won't say not fully realistic, because I don't think you could chop somebody's head off like that. But it kind of like realism mixed with like myth kind of folk story kind of in it, because there's a part where he gets a sword and it's like this sword forged in blah blah blah. I forgot all this shit they said. But it's like their version of like Excalibur, kind of, like it'll never dull, it'll cut through anything. It's like the ultimate kind of sword.
That's a knife. Okay.
Yeah, and it was really cool, and it has a name. It's like Drago, something like that. And the sword has a name. So whenever a sword has a name, it's badass.
Exactly.
So yeah. So like, and even that scene when like he goes to retrieve it, it's kind of one of those vision kind of scenes too. It's not really quick. That one's a little bit longer played out, but then there's like a quick transition where you're like, wait, what happened? That was all in his head, or was that real? Like, and it was that I thought was kind of cool. So a lot of the craziness of like what was real and wasn't, like Bjork is in this movie, because she's Icelandic. And she plays like this sorceress kind of bird lady. That kind of like tells him like the stuff he needs to hear, and that was like a vision as well. So stuff like that. But like the Willem Dafoe with his like crazy face when they get high in the beginning of the movie was like awesome. So but yeah, I mean, all the acting was really, Nicole Kidman crushes. She wasn't in it that much, but the parts that she was, wow. Ethan Hawke was kind of Ethan Hawke. He didn't really do much, for me. He did. He was a badass though. I'll give him that. Like the King Arvandil, I forget what his name was. They had, obviously they're all very traditional Viking kind of names. Like everyone's Thor something. But he was a pretty badass. But Anya Taylor-Joy was really good in this one. Like she was kind of a badass too, but yeah, I mean, Alexander Skarsgård like went through this like weird transformation of being like the Wolfman, then realized what he needs to do, and then cut his hair and got a little cleaned up. And it reminded me of Gladiator too, where he pretended, he was a slave. He went from gonna be a king, kind of like a big high shot kind of person, to a slave, to like freeing people. And like he was just like, they remind me of that kind of story too. But yeah, man, I mean, just a lot of the visually beautiful story I thought was easy to understand, but not too easy where you're bored. But you know, it's definitely a story we've seen before. You know, like Lion King, like you said.
Let's say it
You
sounds
know,
so much like Lion King and Othello.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
straight
like
up.
Nicole Kidman,
Othello.
what she did, I was like Othello. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, even with what in Othello, he plays tricks on his uncle to mess with him, and exactly the same in this one. You know, he does these like tricks where, you know, he thinks it's like a god, you know, messing with him. You know, is like, is it this god? Oh, it's the Christian god. Oh, it's this god. You know, like he doesn't know who's messing with him because like since he has this like magical sword, like the cuts don't look normal. You know, like I think like some witch said like, oh, these are not from this world. You know,
Yeah.
so little things like that was like really cool. You know, so he was messing with his head before. You know, he's like, I'm gonna take everything away from you first before I kill you, kind of stuff. And if you know how Othello ends, you know how this one ends. But yeah, I mean, it was visually amazing. I loved watching it. It was just so cool to see. What about some bad stuff, man? What didn't you like?
Whew. What didn't I like? It's not really much of a spoiler, but towards the end, we had like some Sweet Home Alabama type stuff going on.
Yeah.
With with Nicole Kidman and Alexander Skarsgård. It
For
like
fun.
I don't think it was necessary. Like I understood why they did it, right? It was to really show the craziness that was Queen Gudrun or whatever her name was, to show that she's just out of her mind, bad shit, and she's such a just a bitch. Like she's so like she
Cares about one
betrays.
thing.
Yeah. And so I felt like that could have been taken out. You didn't need that to make a point. I think you've already kind of, you know, exemplified how she was, you know, setting up what she did for things to go the way they did, such a bad way, right? Like you didn't need to include that. I think they could have taken that out, in my opinion. Maybe other people can mention that. Thank you, Brandon.
Hey.
Can mention that it adds on to the craziness of her character. I don't think you needed it. Another thing that I maybe disliked was I'm not sure if this is a spoiler. Yeah, this is a spoiler, but I think it's worth mentioning. So Olga the Birch, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, she towards the end of the movie gets done bogus as hell. She gives some news, and I don't want to give it away, but she gives some news. I want to say good news, right? To the main protagonist, Emilith. And Emma's like, "Oh, really? That's crazy." He kisses her and everything, and he's like, "Ah, but deuces, let me get away from that jazz." And I was just like, "Damn, bogus as hell." I started laughing mid theater, and I think I was the only one, and people looked at me crazy.
Because I took it as something a little different than because I mean this decision was bogus. Like I feel like he could have made the right decision, you know, but also I could see why he did what he did, you know.
So I don't mind why he did it, right? Just the execution. Like as soon as he hears the news, deuces, like, bro, could have shared that moment for like a little bit longer. And yeah, it was just a bogus moment, in my opinion. Like I wouldn't take it out the movie. Nicole Kidman. So Brandon People says Nicole Kidman does the insane bitch like no one else though. It was mostly for shock value. Yes. I had love-hate feelings towards that twist. Yeah. Yeah, she really
But when you said Nicole Kidman, you talk about this movie, I mean, that's exactly who she is. That's who she is. You know what I mean? That's it. Like she played a part. She didn't play a part. She was herself the entire movie. That's awesome. Crazy. That's what it is.
That's how she is in real life. I don't even know too much about her, to be honest. I know she's like
her and Tom Cruise. That's enough, right?
Oh, she's with Tom Cruise?
Was that a long time ago?
That was a long time
ago.
Oh, she was with him.
Crazy
before.
Yeah,
crazy. Well, you know what?
Well, I think did she leave because he's like, "Hey, I want you to be Scientologist." She's like, "No, the fuck, I'm not."
Exactly. That's exactly what
And she's like, I'm
Yeah.
out. And she's with some country singer guy that's also like Australian or some shit. But yeah.
Okay. But for the most part, that's really what I disliked. It wasn't too much to dislike about the movie. I thought it was really well done. It was just like a couple things that I mentioned that you could have taken out the movie and you would have done the same thing, or you would have done as good as you would have done. But what about you, Tank? What did you take away that kind of rubbed you the wrong way or something?
I don't know. Well, just real quick, what you said, like the twist with her is it's like that was the moment where you're like, oh, she's not the person you thought she was. You know what I mean? That was kind of like, because that completely threw me off. Look up meme of her exiting the building after finalizing her divorce from Tom Cruise. Oh God. Like look that up real quick. Did you? Yeah, I don't know, it was just like she needed to do that to show like how cold-hearted and callous and like she is. Like nothing matters except for her being still in power, you know, and just being crazy. It was like, man, it was creepy for sure, you know, but you know, that was definitely the thing. Here, so I pulled it up real quick. I don't know if you guys see it. Yeah.
Not
So
yet.
this is no. Let me see if I get it. So this
There
is
it
her
is.
after divorcing Tom Cruise.
I'm free.
That is a happy woman.
Wow. That speaks volumes.
Yeah. I always liked her. I think she's a good actress. I mean, in Aquaman and stuff like that, she's pretty good. But in this one, she was really good because she, you know, was like played this evil kind of person. But the biggest thing that really bugged me was the audio at times. I don't know. That's why I'm like, maybe when I watch it at home, I can appreciate it more because I can just blast it like all to hell. I said, what's the line? You were born out of force. He was born out of love. Cool. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. She said that. Yeah. So she was talking about like him, like his Nicole Kidman Queen good run didn't love Ethan Hawke's character, the king. It was just kind of like he was in power and he wanted a kid, so I gave him a kid. Where like the uncle loved her, supposedly, you know. I mean, she was really quick to like take, get off that wagon. But yeah, she was just kind of crazy. She was cold-blooded. She was legit. Like he's like cold-blooded. Yeah.
Cold-blooded.
You know.
Yeah, she was bad. You know. And I didn't expect her. I didn't really think, because the whole time his mantra was, I'm gonna save you, mom. What happened?
I was like, because no, I told you I only watched like the first 20-30 minutes. The whole time I felt like she was setting them up the entire time, because he was like, Dad's back, and she was like, okay, everyone get ready. Everyone get, like, I felt like the whole time she had a plan from the beginning. That's my first thought. I was like, wow, she's really doing this, huh?
Yeah, you know, and like thinking about that now, because like when Amleth ran into her room and she's like,
what are you doing?
Ready to smack him. Yeah, exactly. You know, shit. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You know, that she right from the beginning, she was gonna beat the shit out of him. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, it's something I don't know. I didn't expect. You know, the uncle. I figured he was gonna do something, or William Dafoe. I thought William Dafoe was gonna do something as well. But for me, the audio, man. The sometimes they talked and they talked really low, and they had that accent. You know, and then they said the names of people, and it was hard to understand sometimes. So a lot of times I'm like, what they say? What? Huh? You know. So that was one of the major things I didn't really care for, was just the audio. I wish it was just like they would crank up the voice a little bit more. But besides that was really the only thing that really bugged me with it. I wanted more William Dafoe. I liked his character was kind of cool. I wanted more of it.
Isn't that always what's said about William Dafoe?
Exactly.
More William Dafoe.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man, we're like, well, what could Spider-Man have done better? William Dafoe.
More Dafoe.
more.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at. Anything else before we move on to the ratings?
Nah, I think that's it.
No. All right. Cool. Do you want to let them know how we rate movies?
Sure. So, us spoiler kings here at the Nerd Huddle like to review movies a little bit differently, right? We don't do the whole thumbs up, thumbs down. We don't do 5 stars. None of that BS. We have a way cooler way we do it, and that's right down below. You'll see we rate the movies or TV shows, and either a watch now, a watch later, or a watch never. A watch now means, oh my god, this movie or this media is so fantastic. Just drop everything, go watch it right now. It's priority because it's that good. Watch later means, it was okay. It's something to watch, but you can probably catch it on streaming. It's not really priority. And a watch never means don't give this movie or media any time of day. It's so bad and trash. Do not give it your coin because it's just the worst. So, with that being said, you want to give them a rating first?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you can probably guess just from the way I'm talking about this. I think it is a now. I mean, it's everything from the brutal of it, the story, just like Alexander Skarsgård, like just whooping ass. It was just really, really cool. And yeah, just a nice twist at the end. Good story, good fighting. It looks really great. So I'm definitely giving it now. And then real quick, kind of hitting on what I'm saying. Brandon's saying my favorite thing about it is where the visuals and the cinematography. Eggers does great creating that grim, surrealistic atmosphere, and that's true. Everything has this cool look to it. Everything's kind of grayish and hazy, but then when it's dark, the darks look really good. Like he really knows how to use the shadows and stuff like that, and a lot of the symbols in it, all the ravens and this and that, and this means this, and just it was really, really, I thought, well done, really cool. Especially if you're into like Viking kind of stuff, you'll really be into this one. Because if you liked Vikings and like I don't know any other show like that, this is like a whole nother step above all that stuff to me. So yeah, I would say definitely go watch it now. What about you, man?
For the movie The Northman, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you and say it's a watch now. It's a pretty obvious watch now, for that matter, just because of I was just thinking about it too. Imagine watching this at home on an OLED TV screen where you get those true darks and you get them bright colors. Well, that's not much bright colors, but if you get that great contrast, you'll get for like a really amazing picture. Cinematography, just as Brandon Peoples mentioned, was really well done. Camera work was really great. The execution of the characters and the character build up of showing who these characters are were just chef's kiss. And the violence was just on 10 throughout the whole time. Like the whole time, there was never a fighting scene where I'm like, oh, they could have done better. They could have shown this. Nope. It was gruesome. You saw beheadings. So yeah, if you're that type of person, kind of like me, where back in your high school days you were watching beheadings and a bunch of like weird cartel videos, this is for you. This is for you. So
I was watching Snatch in high school. I don't know.
Was it Faces of Death?
There you go. Yep. So that's where I'm kind of at with it. It's a watch now. And of course, Brian, what do you think so far? From the first 15 minutes that you've watched, what do you think this movie kind of falls under for you?
I felt like this was going to be exactly the story. I knew the story was going to go, but I love the way it was already looking. I was honestly, I was enthralled with what was happening already. At the beginning, I was weirded out, like what's happening here, and then all this stuff was kind of coming together. But I really felt a feeling about Nicole Kidman at the beginning, immediately, and then I knew who was going to die. It's crazy to see people walk around with arrows through their body.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, what the hell's going on? How? I get a paper cut. I'm like, oh my god! He's walking around with an arrow through his body and still got to get beheaded. I thought that was, strong. It had a lot of good parts already in it. So, Yeah, and it's not that long. That's another. It's not. It's about an hour 45 minutes. Hour 50 minutes. So I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then we got Martin got a question. He goes, Brian, how many tank tops you have, or have you not changed since Sunday?
Like 364.
There you go.
Damn leap year.
Exactly.
Throwing everything. Yeah, he laughed. And then lastly, on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, which is the tomato meter, gave it an 89%, and the audience gave it a 64. So
What?
yeah, the audience liked
Probably
it, but
too
they didn't
gory.
love it.
It was probably too gory for some people.
Yeah,
Because
and
when I went to go see a couple of movies, I saw people walking out of the Northman. It was like, wow, that's a lot, and it could be
yeah,
overwhelming.
yeah. I mean,
I
even
don't mind.
so, some of the verified audience reviews, like one person said, "Not sure what I watched." Two stars out of 5, and I was like, huh?
What?
It's one person said it was okay, very predictable. Action scenes when it wasn't trying to be overly dramatic were good, but it was like from if the Lion King were played by Nordics. I was like, yeah, it was like, right off the bat, I was like, this is Othello. I mean, even Lion, he's even referencing a movie that's referencing another movie. That's how much this story has been told. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
agree.
Like,
Yeah.
how many times have we seen Shakespeare stories being retold a bazillion times? Like Avatar. We just talked about Avatar in the pre-show.
Exactly.
Avatar's Romeo and Juliet, but with aliens. It's
Yeah.
like, so we've seen it before. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad if you could put a cool take on it. But
No.
yeah, but it was predictable. And I didn't even think about Nicole Kidman until when Brian said it, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of true. She was very cold-hearted right off the bat.
It's very standoffish, even the way she was talking, and that's probably why he's always like, "Nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm all right.
Yeah,
Choosing for
yeah,
one thing only, for my seed.
yeah,
That was it. I'm good."
yeah, yeah. And then last one, this one person said it's not worth it to pay at the movies. This is one of those movies that you can just wait till it comes on regular TV, which I disagree completely. You want to see this on the big screen. You want to see this at home in 4K with blasting freaking surround sound. Like yeah. So
I mean,
yeah,
I like
I disagree with
Othello, watching them do
you.
Othello again. So, like, why wouldn't you like the story? The story is it's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even Brandon said, I never thought of the Romeo and Juliet comparison with Avatar. Yeah. All that was on my mind was Dances with Wolves. Yeah. Dances with Blue People. Yeah. 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 But even
Well said.
Dances with Wolves. You can, any story that's like, oh, this person fell in love with this person when they shouldn't be, and they should be enemies. That's Romeo and Juliet, and then their love would conquer all,
Well,
even
then
at the
you
cost
also
of their
have
lives.
someone who's from the outside coming to save the day.
Yeah.
You've never been in our culture. That's the part I didn't like about Avatar. You've never been in our culture, but you've been here for like 3 months. So go ahead and take a lead of everything and everyone. Like
You're in
this is
charge
not
now.
even your body, but you can go ahead and lead us. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line. Like, all right, come on, man.
Yeah.
Let me show you how to be better. You. No, shut up.
That's,
That's what makes sense to me.
that's true. That is true.
That's funny.
We should do a classic review of the original Avatar before the new one comes out.
So for it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's just
I like it.
you walk in and say, how does someone? It's not his body. He doesn't know the culture. He learns the culture in 3 months, and he marries the princess and leads everybody. What the hell? He should have got eaten like the first day. He should be eaten. The bird,
Yeah.
the bird thing. No, I'm not gonna let you go ahead and mind meld with me. No, I'm just gonna eat you. It's synthetic. Like it doesn't make any sense. There's so many things. Sorry, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry as I go my rant.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
The movie. And Tank, happy you're back and safe. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm kind of glad to be back. It's like one of those things. Once Friday, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go home. I'm not ready to go to work, but I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
So
that's when you need
and
vacation.
What was that?
You need a vacation from your vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, all right, I did this, I did that, I did everything I wanted to do. I was like, yeah, I like even after taking a shower, I still smell like chlorine because I was in the pool that much. So yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Anything else before we move on? Go to our next
movie? I just remembered another reason why Nicole Kidman was just so evil. She mentioned that like while her king was getting killed, she got like kidnapped and she was like on the back of somebody getting carried. And then he's like, yeah, you were crying about it and everything. She's like, I wasn't crying. I was laughing. It was a great time. Yeah. Like, damn, you cold bitch. Like, that's all I got. She's just plain evil. Right? Yeah.
That's what's messed up. Right.
So, but yeah, like it also like that like kind of metaphorically ripped his heart out. So what did he do right after that? He like I know it was a big spoiler for Brian, but he literally killed the oldest son and ripped out his heart. Like legit ripped out his heart. And it was like, I saw the metaphor. I was like, oh well, his heart got ripped out by already his uncle killing his father, but now his mother was in on it. So like that was horrible. So he's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna take his heart. And then even like yeah. But even like he used it as a bargaining chip, at the end, or not the end, but like, in the next scene, he's like, oh, is this the heart? Or is this, it was like, he was just like a badass. He was a cool fighter. But yeah,
that's all I got.
Was evil. He was evil. All right, cool. So if you're watching live, stick around. We're gonna move on to another movie. If you're watching on replay, we appreciate it. Thank you. Make sure you go check out our other reviews on a bunch of different shows, bunch of different movies. Make sure you check out the next review that we're gonna do. If you're watching live, all that good stuff. I don't know. But cool. Yeah, thank you guys, and let's move on to the next one.